Why 95% of diets fail. The reason that 95% of diets fail is because so many people do unsustainable diets. The diet I'm going to suggest to you is very sustainable and very easy to stick to. Listen, I've been doing this for 5 years now. I've tried every single diet under the sun. I've done carnivore, keto, even tried vegetarian. I know, crazy, right? But the only diet that has genuinely worked for me and allowed me to consistently make amazing progress was the 80-20 diet is what I call it. Or if you are a little bit less disciplined, the 70-30 diet, all right? By the way, before I get into it, in the description, there are 2 links, one to my aesthetic body course and the other to my one-to-one online coaching. Go and check it out. Now, what is the 80-20 diet and why is it the diet that will actually allow you to make progress? Well, the reason other diets fail because they are not sustainable. They are not balanced in any way, okay? So people will completely get rid of whole food groups. You think keto, people are getting rid of carbs. Carnivore, people are getting rid of every single macronutrient apart from protein, basically. Vegan, people are just getting rid of meat, etc. You are just doing diets that aren't sustainable in the long run. We think about making progress, right? We think about having a long-lasting impact when we're doing fitness, when we're trying to get in shape. We want it for the whole rest of our lives, don't we? So let's find a diet that we can actually stick to for the rest of our life. Because if you ask me this, you ask me, hey, Theo, who do you think's better? Who do you think's better off? The person who does this 80-20 diet, where 80% of the time they eat the real whole foods and 20% of the time they eat the processed junk foods, right? That is the 80-20 diet. Then you ask me, okay, compare him to the 100% real whole food diet. Which one's better? Well, I know it sounds crazy, but the 80-20 diet, that person who's doing that diet, I would genuinely say that is the better diet. Simply because you can stick to it. Listen, I tried the real whole food diet where you only eat the real whole foods. Basically, you only eat the 1 ingredient foods, the foods that are good for you. So think about chicken, meat, whatever, fruit, vegetables, grains, the foods that actually come from the earth, the foods that are 1 ingredient that you can harvest from an animal, pick from a tree, etc. Those are the real whole foods, right? But if you said to me, okay, I'm going to just try eat that for the rest of my life, I'd say you're crazy because it is simply impossible. Even someone like me who is highly disciplined when it comes to my diet and fitness, I can't even do that. For 4 months straight, I ate the real whole foods. And guess what? I lost 8 kg, which is great. You're thinking, wow, so it does work. But then I actually went on put on 15 kg. I put on 15 kg straight after I dieted because I restricted myself too much and I just binged. So the 80-20 diet or the 70-30 diet is the best diet for you. 80% of the time, you eat the real whole foods, the foods that are going to give you good micronutrients. They're going to give you good macronutrients, so you're getting proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, okay? And then you're getting micronutrients, all the vitamins you need, which means your hormones, your internal functioning is going to be in shape, but also your external appearance is going to be in shape too, because you're going to have high protein, and high protein is good for building muscle and also losing fat. Protein, obviously, amino acids needed for building muscle. This muscle here, protein made it. Then healthy fats. Healthy fats are going to be really good for your hormones, sex drive, libido. Great. Carbohydrates, fueling your workouts. You're getting all of that in the 80% of your diet, okay? You're getting all of the benefits, all right? Those are the foods that are going to allow you to wake up in the morning feeling good, feeling energized, getting muscle, getting a pump, whatever, all right? But then 20% of the time, you eat whatever you want. There's 2 ways of going about this. I'll tell you the better way, I think, but then the also alternative way. So you could, if you wanted to, you could track your calories, which I personally suggest because most people should be tracking their calories to some extent to allow themselves to lose weight, because most people need to lose fat. And the best way to do that is through tracking your calories. A lot of people think that they're in a calorie deficit when they're simply not, and they overestimate that when they do track calories, which is not good. Track your calories properly. And then say, I don't know, your maintenance calories is 2,500, right? Maybe 2,000 of the calories you eat the real whole foods. You eat the foods that are going to be building your muscle, losing the fat, giving you the good nutrients you need to build muscle, etc. and feel good, right? Then 500 calories of that day, you eat what you want. I think that is a sustainable approach. That means you're not going to miss social events because you can't eat those foods. You're not going to feel so restricted and you can't eat any of those junk foods. You can't eat any of your favorite foods ever, all right? That is just unsustainable. So 80-20 diet, that is a good way of doing it. There's another way of doing it though, which I personally wouldn't suggest, but you could do it this way. You could 20% of the time, so say in 10 days, right? 8 of those days, you just eat the real whole foods. For all your calories, you eat the real whole foods. And then for 2 days, you eat what you want. That's it. And that means you're going to feel so much less restrictive. Now, the reason I think the first approach is a bit better is because if you think about it, the second approach, you're having 2 days where you're not building as much muscle because junk foods, there's not much protein in them, okay? So you're taking 2 whole days of just eating the processed foods. You're probably not going to be building much muscle in those days, which is not good. Also, your recovery is not going to be that good because you're eating those foods for a whole day. Stuff like that. It's not going to be great if you do that alternative way. But the point I'm trying to make is you need to incorporate your favorite foods, yummy foods into your diet so you stick to the diet. Everyone locks in for New Year's, right? It's New Year's resolution time. We need to lock in. We need to lose all the fat. Oh my God. And they get on this new fad diet. The new fad diet. We need to, go vegan. We need to go carnivore. We need to do all this. They restrict themselves so much. They literally eat one food group, right? And sure, that can lead to some progress for some people, but that's usually for a short-term span. Either they gain the weight back or they feel really bad and they binge. So yeah, they gain the weight back anyway. But with this diet, I'm suggesting to you the 80-20 diet, the 70-30 diet, you, for the rest of your life, you can be healthy, build muscle, lose fat, have all of the nutrients you need, have good sex drive, your hormones are in good place, you have good energy, your workouts feel amazing, because 80% of the time you're eating those real whole foods. And then you're also getting the perfect balance of being able to have some fun, not take life too seriously, go out, have a pizza with your family or friends, and it's not the end of the world. In fact, in doing this, you will probably make more progress than the person who doesn't because you feel less restrictive. I think a lot of diets fail because people mentally clock out of the diet. It's too hard mentally. It's mentally exhausting. They can't stick to it because it feels too restrictive. This 80-20 diet, this 70-30 diet, it will change your life. And I mean, this is a long-term diet. If you want to make long-term change in your physique, if you want to build an incredible physique, but also be healthy, I genuinely believe this is the best diet for you. And, me personally, I have a bit of a sweet tooth, all right? I am fat at heart. I love to say this. I'm fat at heart. My discipline is just what makes me look good. So I, really want those sweet treats and I incorporate it into my calories. I make sure 80% of the time I'm eating those real whole foods. So I'm reaping all of the benefits. I'm building all of the muscle, losing all of the fat, getting all of the energy from those great foods. And then 20% of the time I'm enjoying myself and living. I think it's the best diet you could possibly ever stick to. Now, of course, carnivore, keto, etc. That can all work for losing weight. That can even work for some people to feel good. But for the majority of people, it's too restrictive. You're getting rid of whole food groups. I don't suggest that. I suggest eating all of the food groups and getting all the nutrients you need, so you're not deficient in anything. You can actually have sexy time with your wife or your significant other because you actually have energy. You'll get great workouts in, you'll get amazing pumps, you will feel great, your health will be in tip-top shape, and you don't feel too restricted. Now, you may be wondering, okay, fine, this seems like an okay diet, but I don't know, like 20% of the time you're eating junk food, just not great. Listen, I'm all against these horrible junk food companies. We need to fight back against these junk food companies because they are killing people for profit. They are poisoning people for profit. I'm completely against them. But I know they are so addicting, it is nearly impossible to go cold turkey from them. Also, I genuinely believe your life quality, your life happiness will genuinely go down if you stop eating those foods entirely. You know, me having a donut here and there, I think that actually boosts my mood without impacting my health in any way. Now, as I was saying, some people might be thinking, well, okay, this is a bad diet because like you're not eating the real whole foods 100% of the time. You think the average person, right? The average person, you watching this, you might be eating the processed foods 80% of the time, 70% of the time. And then 20% of the time, 30% of the time, you're eating the real whole foods. So going to this diet is probably making 2 times the progress. 2 times the progress, and it doesn't feel too difficult. Now, also another tip for someone who is eating maybe 80% of the time the processed foods and only 20% of the time the real whole foods, I wouldn't switch straight to this diet because even this diet requires some discipline, all right? 80-20 diet, it still requires some discipline because only 20% of the time you're eating the junk foods and 80% of the time you're eating the real whole foods. So what I would say is progressively deload. What that means is maybe if you're eating 80% of the time the junk foods, maybe go down to 70% of the time. So say 5 of your meals a day are all junk food, right? I would suggest maybe for a week, try 4 meals junk food, 1 meal real whole foods. Doesn't sound too bad. You're thinking, that's nothing. That's not even making any difference. Progress. That is progress, isn't it? That's a lot of progress. Then maybe a week after that, 2 weeks after that, you go to 3 meals junk foods, 2 meals real whole foods. Then you go to 2 meals junk food, 3 meals whole food. And then already you've got a better balance. The weights have tipped onto the better side now, and you're eating the better foods the majority of the time. Or more often, a lot more often than you were. And then you go to 4 meals of the real whole foods and 1 meals of the junk foods. And then, wow, you're basically there. 80% of what you're eating is the real whole foods. The rice, the chicken, the eggs, the meat, the fruit, the vegetables, the grains, etc., which are going to allow you to make more progress, make you feel more full up. So you're going to make more progress because you're less likely to overeat, okay? Because those real whole foods, they satiate you and they make it less likely you're going to go and binge, which is why they are so important. Also the nutrients, macronutrients, them, everything's so important about them. The healthy foods that you know. And then you've got 1 meal where you would enjoy yourself. Sure, you have, I don't know, some chicken nuggets from McDonald's. Wow, it's not going to kill you. If the majority of your diet is good, then your diet is 10 times better than the average person. So what I would suggest is just go to this 80-20 diet. Don't go to the crazy carnivore diet. Don't go to the crazy keto diet. Don't go vegan. Don't be deficient in vitamins you need. Don't completely get rid of whole food groups and do the 80-20 diet, which is actually sustainable and going to allow you to make real long-term progress. Simple as that. Now, I spoke about this before, but in the description, there are the 2 links that I spoke about. One link is to my aesthetic body course. This course will get you into the best shape of your life if you actually let it. If you listen to the advice, the knowledge I give in that course, you will build an aesthetic physique. You will build your dream physique. If you genuinely take action on what I say on there, you will get in the best shape of your life. You will become healthier. You will build the most muscle mass you've ever had. You will get the leanest you've ever been. You will know exactly how to bulk, cut, maintain your weight, everything you could possibly ever need to know about fitness, getting into shape, being healthy. Every question you could possibly ever have is answered on there. I promise you, anything you want to know is on there, and I'm quite excited for you because I know how much getting into shape has changed my life. It's taken me 5 years to learn everything, and I've gone through the trials and tribulations. I made all of the mistakes, and you don't need to make them because I'm passing the right knowledge on to you. I'm telling you, do this because it works. Don't do that because it doesn't work, because I've tried both. I know what works and what doesn't. Simple as that. Then the second link goes to my online one-to-one coaching calls. You can hop on a call with me for an hour, really cheap. I think it's like $15. You can hop on a call with me. You can ask me any question you have about fitness, getting into shape, building an aesthetic physique. I will answer any question about it. Anyone who wants to build muscle, lose fat, maintain their weight, anything you could possibly ever think about fitness, I will answer for you. I will tell you how to build your dream physique if you actually listen. All right? Go and check those links out. They will change your life if you let them. Boom!